30 minutes after 6 p.m. Cameroon time, we are in the country's economic capital, Douala. My name is Gienda Pelgin Blanche King. Thank you for choosing my Media Prime for over 6:30 Prime News. We're streaming live from Studio A of My Media Prime at Fengutrom Bange. We'll begin today's edition of the news from the northwest region of the country, where a reporter says streets remain deserted in some parts of the northwest region of the country. Municipalities like Bamenda 1, 2, 3 have seen commercial activities temporarily paralyzed. Those city dwellers pay the price of the decision, according to the Northwest Region Authority or Northwest Region Authority, is to tighten security and reduce crime in Bamenda. Details in the following report with Charles Kibwa.
Bamenda is witnessing limited commercial activities as usual, with no sound of either a motorbike heard or seen in the streets of Abakwa the past 3 days. The city of Abakwa, one can say, is dead as some streets remain deserted in most of the areas forbidden bikes to ply in the Bamenda 1, 2, and 3 municipalities. Most of the streets the restriction order extend to and beyond, people can be seen trekking to their destinations, hoping that the days ahead administration revisit the order placed on the circulation of motorbikes. The markets are open, but buyers, likewise sellers, at the market are few. The city of Abakwa, My Media Prime by press time this day, few taxis and private cars were seen or spotted circulating downtown. The security and the defense forces are on alert. The decision prohibiting the circulation of commercial and private motorbikes within the urban perimeters of Bamenda City is aimed at reducing crime. Though inhabitants pay the price, the decision, according to Bamenda City Council Authority, enforced in a recent joint press release signed yesterday by the security and defense bosses of the Northwest region, backed by security forces. With effective implementation, the population is requested to collaborate with the defense and security forces, as well as strict respect the restriction and movements of motorbikes within the Bamenda City Council area.
Travel agencies in the economic capital, Douala, complain of the huge difficulties they now face as a result of the ban on the free circulation of motorbikes by the government authorities in certain parts of Bamenda, and another ban by separatist fighters on the circulation of township taxis. The travel agencies look deserted, with very few passengers, seemingly stranded and frustrated with their luggage at the agencies. Characteristic queuing up of passengers who usually crowd the halls and counters of these agencies, especially at night, to travel to Bamenda, seem to be absent. According to this manager of one of the travel agencies, they have been badly affected by the ban by both the authorities and the separatists on commercial motorbikes and taxis. It is costing the agencies a lot because the passengers are not available. He further explains that his agency usually loads about 4 to 5 buses to Bamenda before the ban, but now it is practically impossible because travelers are scared of the unknown and therefore cannot travel.
I want to really affect me plenty because sometimes they also not plenty motor, but you don't find job. When they fear to go Bamenda as circulation, they go on initial motorbikes and taxi, so somebody just fear to go. So only one motor person of Bamenda. When for the reward of work and food and identity. All my people they fear to go. Now one motor they just pass this country.
You used to send how many motors?
Our time I used to send 5 motors.
Due to the insecurity which looms in the chief town of the Northwest region, Bamenda, passengers are scared and do not want to risk their lives and families.
Some inhabitants of the far north region in the Dapala subdivision have been rendered homeless due to recent heavy downpour in Merem. The inhabitants are now in Kaheyo awaiting assistance, as student journalist on internship Mongo Emanuela Ngela tells us in the following report.
After the departure of Minister Paul Atanganji and 6 other ministers from assessing the damages caused by floods in the far north region, inhabitants of Merem, a village in the Ndiamarem division, are once again hit by floods. Over 1,000 inhabitants of Merem, a locality in Dapala subdivision, Ndiamarem division of the far north region, have been rendered homeless after heavy downpour which caused the Mayosanaga River to overflow its bank. A dry topography which has now turned into a lake forced the people to cross inside or use a canoe to go to the other part of the village. The inhabitants carry their sheep goat to cross, while mothers run risks as they try to bring their sick children to the hospital, as an inhabitant says.
Il a au niveau des coûts comme ça, les autres endroits là, ça vient au niveau des têtes. C'est difficile pour amener, pour transporter l'enfant pour à l'hôpital là, c'est difficile.
The affected population now sleep under trees, thus exposing themselves to mosquitoes, snakes, and many others. This little girl cries over the loss of their properties. The destruction of properties, cows, and foodstuffs are enormous, as this inhabitant explains.
Avec les saisons de poules comme ça, là, il y a les serpents, il y a les épines, il y a tout ça là. Il y a beaucoup de pitié à Merem. Oh Dieu, regardez-nous.
The Kao chief has opened his doors to inhabitants remedied homeless, and they are now looking on the government to do something to remedy their situation. The government has also revealed that nearly 200,000 inhabitants will be resettled.
Kumba Health District has officially launched activities to promote the fight against COVID-19 in the southwest region, and particularly in Kumba. The meeting which took place, or the event which took place today, stressed on the respect of measures to prevent the spread of COVID-19 in the country. Our reporter Tamful Sidwan Dimbi was part of this event. He compiled the following report.
The launching of activities to fight COVID-19 took place this Wednesday, 9 September 2020 in the chief town of Meme Division, Kumba.
Minister of Public Health initiated the incident management system for COVID-19.
Under the auspices of the Meme administration, the district medical officer for Kumba Health District, Dr. Lifenda Emmanuel, assured the population that serious actions have been carried out against the COVID-19 pandemic.
We of Kumba have been very much in the fight against this pandemic.
He also presented the COVID-19 statistics in the Kumba Health District.
Total number of tests supplied to us in Kumba Health District was 1,500. Total tests done, 1,131. Number of cases positive for COVID-19, 98. Number of those who have died in Kumba for COVID-19, 5. Number of people sensitized in the whole of Kumba Health District, 51,680.
As the launching went on, a demonstration of hand wash system was carried out, while free screening and the disinfecting of the CMA Kumba town went on. To the DMO, the COVID-19 pandemic will be history in Kumba, as a bunch of activities are to be carried out.
We're going to use all the methods we can use. Door-to-door methods, sensitization in all the hospitals, sensitization in all the markets, parks. In fact, everywhere where we find our people, we are going to see them.
There are more hopes in Kumba as free screening is launched.
Over 250 parish Caritas members have benefited from a one-day capacity building workshop organized in Boya by Caritas. The workshop, dubbed Reducing Food Insecurity Through Egg Production and Home Gardening to Improve Community Development, was chaired by the Bishop of Boya Diocese, Michael Bibi. Clarice Akoe reports.
According to statistics on the state of food security in the southwest region, the production of agricultural products have witnessed a drop. This is the case with farm produce such as plantains, witnessing a drop of about 50% this year. The farming techniques have been identified as an impediment to high agricultural productivity, as Pierre Ernest Chinda, director of Caritas Boya, reveals.
The worsening socio-political crisis and also the COVID-19. As for now, for example, the production of plantain has dropped to 50% as what it was before 2016, and also the production of cassava and maize. As for now, with some of the techniques that we are using with the farmers, farmers were able to have about 2 tons to 3 tons of maize per hectare using sustainable agricultural techniques. This is why for this seminar, we're trying to increase of the production of each speculation that we are working with.
In a bid to boost agricultural yields and improve on the livelihood of farmers and members of their communities, Caritas Boya is organizing this food diocesan seminar dated Reducing Food Insecurity Through Egg Production and Home Gardening.
We are working with small farmers who have just 25 layer bed. For this ongoing phase, our farmers were able to have 3 tons of maize per hectare. And also now, those who are involved in egg production, we want farmers to be able to produce about 20 eggs per day.
Holding in Boya, over 250 parish Caritas members drawn from the 26 parishes benefited from this training. While addressing the beneficiaries in his opening speech, Bishop Emmanuel Bibi admonished them to put into practice the skills they have acquired.
Looking at the fact that God has blessed us with land and very fertile land, it is important that participants of this seminar have the opportunity to know how they could make good use of the talents that God has given to them.
Hence, through this training, it is not only expected to improve on the livelihood of about 600 households, but enable the southwest region occupy its position as an agricultural basket in Cameroon.
African Synergies have donated medical equipment to the Douala 2 Council dedicated to medical personnel of the New Bell District Hospital to support in the fight against COVID-19, which still poses a major threat in the country. Audrey Zata completes the story in the following report.
With the ongoing fight against the COVID-19 pandemic in the country, the African Synergies, the non-governmental organization, has proceeded in the donation of medical equipment to the medical personnel of the New Bell District Hospital by the Douala 2 Council. The Douala 2 Council therefore welcomed the African Synergies during the donation ceremony presided by Denise Fwampong, mayor of Douala 2.
À ce personnel médical, nous disons également de faire bon usage de ce don, parce que vous le savez, c'est des sacrifices qui ont été consentis. Et nous sommes en droit de dire qu'avec ce don, le personnel médical sera à l'abri. Parce que, comme vous le savez, c'est les personnels les plus exposés.
The donation, which constituted 2,000 lab wares, 1,000 pairs of gloves, 2,000 surgical masks, 200 combinations and more, was received with joy as the manager of the New Bell District Hospital expressed his satisfaction.
Ce don vient réveiller les gens, ne lâchons pas prise, parce que nous sommes sur la bonne voie, mais en lâchant prise, nous risquons de tomber. Donc, je suis très content et au nom du personnel, je tiens à transmettre mes remerciements à Synergie africaine, à Madame la Présidente du Comité de gestion, au maire, et à l'ensemble des populations qui nous ont toujours soutenus.
This gesture has again come to confirm that the fight against the coronavirus pandemic in the country is still ongoing, and the public is urged to continue with the strict observations of hygienic measures recommended by the World Health Organization.
Some health officials in the field of physiotherapy in the West region have concluded a one-day sensitization exercise centered around the link between physiotherapy and COVID-19. This was yesterday during the celebration of World Physiotherapy Day. Gladys Bomotongina completes the story in the French language.
Célébrée cette année sous le thème Réhabilitation après Covid-19, la journée mondiale de la kinésithérapie, qui est une profession de santé, une science clinique, employant le mouvement dans le but de renforcer, maintenir, rétablir la capacité fonctionnelle chez les personnes, a été effective dans la région de l'Ouest Cameroun, comme Viviane Naoussi, chef service de ce corps médical à l'hôpital de Bouddha, donne plus d'informations.
Physical medicine, which will help to restore patients living with disability and restore patients' autonomy. So it is used to reduce the handicap and physical disability, and all age groups can be involved in physiotherapy. Also, sports or non-sport practitioners can be candidates for physiotherapy. And physiotherapy deal with conditions, with neurological conditions, orthopedic conditions, rheumatologic conditions like fractures, operative or non-operative, deformities, paralysis, and so on. And today we are enjoying the World Physiotherapy Day under the theme rehabilitation after COVID-19. Here, the role of physiotherapy is to help the patient who have suffered from COVID-19 to better improve from his condition.
En effet, la maladie à coronavirus, entraînant plusieurs séquelles chez les personnes ayant souffert, nécessite fortement l'intervention d'un kinésithérapeute.
Clairement, ce thème est mis en exergue tout simplement parce qu'on se rend compte que la majorité des personnes, surtout des personnes ayant des cas sévères de coronavirus, ils ressortent de la maladie avec des séquelles telles que les difficultés à respirer, c'est-à-dire son volume respiratoire normal a été réduit, également la difficulté à se mouvoir, les faiblesses musculaires. Bon, maintenant, comment est-ce que le kiné intervient sur les séquelles comme on l'a cité tantôt? Le kiné vient intervenir dans le sens de faire augmenter le volume pulmonaire à travers des exercices de réhabilitation cardiovasculaire.
Sans doute au sortir de ces séances, ces personnes recouvreront la mobilité totale.
Away from that, student journalist Clarence Abuno took note of other news-making events out of the country. His report.
We begin in Greece, where a fire incident which broke out in the early hours of Wednesday in the overcrowded Moria camp on the Greek island of Lesbos has destroyed the entire camp, leaving thousands of refugees and asylum seekers homeless. Sources say the fire started after the riots by people who were to be isolated after tested positive of the coronavirus. Kyriakos Mitsotakis, the Prime Minister, organized an emergency meeting with his ministers, but no immediate casualties were recorded. The largest camp in Greece, which was home to 13,000 people, has been reduced to ashes, leaving them homeless now. We move to Afghanistan, where a roadside bomb in Kabul, said to have been targeting the first vice president, Amrullah Saleh, exploded on Wednesday, 9 September 2020, leaving 10 civilians dead and at least 15 others wounded. But Amrullah Saleh narrowly survived the attack, accounted the country's Interior Ministry spokesman Tariq Aryan. And in England, social gathering from 6 persons and above has been banned amid COVID-19. Matt Hancock, the Health Secretary of the UK, announced that this measure is to commence from Monday, 14 September 2020, which are to be applied in every meeting, indoors or outside, just to name a few, with exceptions in school, workplace and weddings. These measures are said to have taken place because of a rise in COVID-19 cases from 2,000 to 300 and 4,269. He added that anyone who failed to respect this order shall be fined between the sum of £100 and £3,200 on double offence. We end in UK, where AstraZeneca and Oxford University poses coronavirus phase 3 trial after unexplained illness in a volunteer. The pharmaceutical UK-based company AstraZeneca, working with the University of Oxford, has put on hold their COVID-19 vaccine because of a suspected adverse reaction in a UK participant. The report came on Tuesday, 8 September 2020, after AstraZeneca and Oxford University were developing a drug in order to bring a solution to COVID-19.
In sports, clubs that will take part in the upcoming football season in Cameroon have started training in view of the new season likely to commence in October, though the Cameroon Football Federation is yet to announce the kickoff date. Amongst the teams who have returned to the green turf is current champions PWD Social Football Club of Bamenda. Details with sportsman Fabrice Kendinga.
Preparations are gaining steam in view of the 2020-2021 football season in Cameroon. Clubs to take part in the championship have begun training while waiting on the Cameroon Football Federation to announce the kickoff date. Defending champions PWD Social Football Club of Bamenda trained on Tuesday, September 8, 2020 for the first time since the suspension of football activities in March. The Abakwa boys, who are due to host the Bright Stars of South Sudan in a warm-up game prior to the new season, are training 2 times daily at the Catholic school field Big Mancon. Speaking during the training session, PWD's head coach David Pangu called on the players to be disciplined and hardworking so as to achieve their objectives for the season. Among the fans who turned out to watch their darling team after months of inactiveness was PWD's president Pascal Abonde, who reminded the players that it is an honor to put on the blue and white of PWD. The Abakwa boys were declared champions of Cameroon by the Cameroon Football Federation, who cancelled the 2019-2020 season following the coronavirus pandemic. At the time of the cancellation, PWD was on top of the classification table. PWD will be involved in 3 fronts this season. They will be defending their title and taking part in the Cup of Cameroon as well as the much-coveted CAF Champions League. Other top-flight clubs in the country have also resumed training, including newly promoted club Astro of Douala, Stade Renat of Melon, Bamboutouz Football Club of Buda, and Colombe Sportif from Ja and Lobo have all returned to the green turf, among others. Meanwhile, the Cameroon Football Federation has in a release published eligible hospitals across the country where players and officials must carry out COVID-19 tests before being allowed to take part in the championship.
Thanks, Fabrice Kendinga. It is on this note that we end today's edition of the 6:30 Prime News on My Major Prime. Thanks for being a part. Join us tomorrow, God willing, at 6:30 for another edition of Prime News on My Major Prime. The news was produced by Ewane Elaine Olinga, coordinated by Faith Tata Berenyoy. My name is Gienda Pelgin Blanche King. Until we meet again tomorrow, stay tuned to My Major Prime for more interesting programs. Good night.